And well, I'm really pleased to have Mark Popenhagen speak with us today. I met him through Turning the Corner, a job search outfit in Boulder many years ago. And he is very experienced in many ways, and he's a very nice guy. I'm going to let him further introduce himself. Mark. And you're muted.
Oh, goodness. Look at that. Number one. Thanks, Don. I appreciate the kind words. I'll Venmo you later. So hope you're all doing great. I really enjoyed listening to all you talk. I will not be using slides today. So Don, if you want to turn that off so we can see everybody's face, that would be awesome. I like seeing the people I talk to because that's why we're here today. Just, what I'm trying to do today is I'm not the guru really in anything, but hopefully I have some good ideas. We do some good networking, which has already happened, which is amazing, and just inspiration. I have a very slight few points I want to go through. I am what some might call a serial entrepreneur. We can get to that in a minute. And I just want to, make sure there's enough time at the end for everybody to continue talking, share ideas, because I think that's one of the best things I love about the networking groups. I used to speak at BoulderNet a long time ago, it feels like now. When we met in person, that was awesome. And I love the opportunity, and I love what I learn in these meetings as well. So thank you for allowing me to be here. And thank you for everybody being very forthcoming. It's one of the best initial chats I've heard in a long time. Everybody's sharing, that's great. So who am I? Who's this Mark Popenhagen guy? I'm one of those kids that grew up in the Midwest. I'm an Iowa boy. I grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I had 3 older brothers. The one closest to me was 6 years older. And then I had a little sister. So we kind of joked that I was the invisible child because once the girl came along, they just kind of let me go out and play with my brothers all the time. School came easy to me. Life was fun. I played the saxophone. I had some really great friends. Went to the University of Iowa. My future seemed clear, jump into corporate America, make a bunch of money, buy a Porsche, get out of Iowa. That was my plan at the time. But then I never could really figure out who I wanted to be when I grew up. And so for my academic people, I was that kid that kept bouncing around classes and never figured out exactly what I wanted to do. It was back in the day, like you didn't register online. So you'd have to go in to get classes. And I remember going to these classes, well, Mark, you have to be a history major to take that class. I go, I'll be right back. I'm a history major. And then I took art classes because I started getting into marketing. And they go, you need to be in art? I'll be right back. So I eventually got a Bachelor of Liberal Studies because I did all the science that I could do, all the art, all the humanities. And so it was fun because it's just trying to figure out what I wanted to be. So then I took some time off and I landed in this little tiny small business making signs. It was when plotters were first coming out and vinyl lettering, and I was learning stuff, and I was enjoying it, but it was a small business. Eventually you hit a ceiling, there's no way to go. I'm sitting in my apartment, it's like 20 below zero outside, and I'm not exaggerating. I'm like, this stinks. Literally jumped in my car the next week and drove to Austin, where it was 70 degrees, and they lied because they told me it was 70 degrees all the time, not 115 4 months later. Thank you, buddy. So moved to Austin, hooked up with a small print advertising special marketing thing. Loved that. It was a good time, learned a lot in printing. But again, once again, hit a ceiling. There's only so much you can do. And I just kept learning. And then on a whim, I moved to Kansas City. Worked in a large corporation there, doing print fulfillment, printing, marketing, supply chain. Clients were like Starbucks, Chili's, gas companies, Sprint PCS. And I really loved what I was doing. I was actually running teams and helping people grow and watching people enjoy their careers. And they said, hey, Mark, you're good with people. We're going to put you in mergers and acquisitions, which was awesome for a while we were building a company. And then it kind of turned into, we started buying buildings. That's not who I am. So at that point, I bought a company, a franchise, and I did senior moving and estate sales for a while, which was an exciting brand new venue. Because then I was looking, I go, there's 3 things we got to hit: kids, pets, or seniors. If we can find something in those 3 arrangers, it would be great. It would be perfect. And I did that for about, 3 years. It was growing. We went from last place to third in 3 years. And then life happens, right? Life always happens. Things happen. And we won't go into the details, but we had to move. And so I moved to Louisville, Colorado. I ended up getting divorced. We sold the franchise, and I did okay in that. And then I just tried to figure out again, Mark, who do you want to be when you grow up? So I was doing freelance marketing. I joined a company Don mentioned, and I was a marketing coach. I was a career coach. I did resumes. I was a management trainer, all these different things. And I really liked it. And then COVID kind of hit and slowed things down, and I wanted to try something new. And so I went out and I was doing business consulting again and working with clients and executive management training. And then I fell in love and I moved to Springfield, Missouri, where I am today in the South Missouri. So that's where I'm at. And now I'm still in a lot of things. I'm doing financial services, which means that I talk about things that are more taboo than politics, religion, and sex. I talk about money. And that's what I do pretty much all day for the most part, and bore people with my stories. So that's where I'm at. So why would you listen to this guy, right? Who is this guy? The bottom line through my whole career, and where I see the parts where I exceeded and loved the most, was the ability to help people. That's just who I am. I mean, we all like to be paid. Eating is good. But it's that part of how do we help the people around us become who they want to be. And I think that's important. And just listening to the group and people chiming in and helping, like, hey, check this out. There's that attitude that's even in this little Zoom room, if you want to call it. And I think that's what makes it great. And that's what makes these sort of meetings great, and why I would love to talk in this. So, you can call me a career coach. I've been called Marketing Mark, serial entrepreneur. And the constant question I usually get is, so Mark, what are you doing now? That's the constant question I get, and where I've invested in. I've had the privilege of working with a lot of different entrepreneurs, watching a lot of companies do great things. And that brings me back to job searching, because like being an entrepreneur in job searching, jobs, anything you're in, there's always successes and failures, right? There's always ups and downs. I caused a lot of my own problems. I admit that. I had a lot of people cause problems for me. I admit that, and I have to deal with both. I remember the great weeks of amazing fancy dining in really posh restaurants, and weeks of enjoying macaroni and cheese and ramen. I know both weeks. I know what they both feel like. I know what it's like to have the air conditioner barely on in Austin on a slow week with the thing, and at the other time, just loving sitting by a fire in a really nice cabin, and all that's good. And the one thing that I've always learned and that I gravitate to, it's the people that make impacts. I'm sitting here taking notes while y'all talked, and I have quite a few starred. Like, oh my gosh, that's something I need to remember. Oh, that was a great way of looking at that, and just so I can continue to do that, because if you look at job seekers and entrepreneurs, Don asked me, "What do you want to title this?" And I go, I don't know. Let's just say job search like an entrepreneur. That kind of came off the top of my head when I was talking to Don. And I go, and I'll figure out what that means later. But that's where I'm going with today. It's that you have a dream. You push through hard times. You're not always afraid to be vulnerable as a job seeker. You have to get up. Whether you fell, tripped, knocked yourself down, or pushed down, that's what you have to do. And that's what entrepreneurs do. So what is an entrepreneur? I looked up the Merriam-Webster definition just because I like doing that for fun. It's one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risks of a business or enterprise. Merriam-Webster is so stinking boring. That's all I'm going to say. My background's in a lot of marketing. So this is what I found when I think about the traits of entrepreneurs. They have a vision, right? They know what they want. They know what they want to do. They know where they want to look. It's important to them. Like June, you have a vision, which is awesome. It's important to know where you want to go. They ask questions. They question themselves. They question their plans. They question everything that's happening around them. They have passion and energy, which is hard to have passion and energy. A work ethic. Maria, just being the teamwork approach. They create their own opportunities, they communicate, and they know how to present themselves. And I see a lot of that here, which is awesome. And it's almost like I'm like, boy, am I in the wrong group? It's like you guys already know what you're doing. The biggest thing is the tenacity and the mindset. It's that desire and that goal, not only to make your own life better, but the lives around you better. And yeah, sometimes you have to pay bills. Sometimes you have to eat. I get that. And I know there's this wonderful, intangible desire to do good. But there's also times that we're to buckle down. And that's what you see, I think, in its purest sense of entrepreneurs and job seekers and people trying to make that change, is that maybe by choice or not choice, all of us right now are entrepreneurs in one way or another, whether it's finding a new job, setting a new course, changing careers, looking for something different, or just trying to make an impact in somebody's life. So I sat down a week ago and started pinning down thoughts, and I tried, what are the 3 things that I know the people around me that are just amazing entrepreneurs and do great and sell companies and make a lot of money? What do they do? And what about the ones that help people, the nonprofit ones that do the same thing? They're entrepreneurs. They just have a kind of a different purpose. Like, what did they do to make such a great impact? There's some amazing nonprofits here in Springfield that I'm still shocked by. And one of the first ones I learned was they ask a lot of questions. So how many people, show of hands, have been on a startup team? Just so I can see your hand. How many have been on a startup team? A brainstorming team? A curriculum team? Deciding what you're going to have for dinner that night, right? We've all had something, right? There's something where you're in a room and all these questions are coming up and somebody's outcome depends on it. My own, yours, that outcome depends on it. Think about how many hours that you've spent on whiteboards and Slack. I'm not going to go off on Slack. I love Slack. I hate Slack. I like both, but we'll just leave that there. Slack, ping pong tables, pool tables, card tables, coffee shops, just trying to figure it out. And I think the one thing as an entrepreneur and as a job seeker is, what is the problem you're trying to solve? And I know it's simple sitting in this room, but my problem is, Mark, I need a job. I need a job today. I got to have a job. And Mark's career coach answer would be, I can get you a job today. We can walk down the street. I can get you a job. It may not be what you want. It may not make a lot of money, but I can get you a job today, which is not probably the answer you want to hear. So I'm not going to say that question is the problem you're trying to solve is finding a job. The question is, what is right for you and what you want to do? I know just in my life, I've done this more than 100 times, just even preparing today. As I sit down, I start asking questions. So I pull out my notepad. I have a lot of notepads. I'm really sorry. I try to recycle all the paper. I just can't do it online. So I apologize to all you out there, but I do try to recycle. But I start writing just simple questions. What do I want to do? That's simple. What do I want to do? It doesn't have a title to it. I didn't, 8 years old, out wandering around going, I think I want to be a niche-oriented career coach. I never once had that thought, right? I never did that. But what do I want to do when I grow up? I want to do this. Where do I want to go? What do I want to see? And then what am I good at? And be specific, because those little things you're good at, especially those really tiny ones that you didn't think. The project managers, you baffle me to these days. You're amazing. All the project managers and product developers out there, you're amazing. But there's certain components that you're really, really good at. Same in marketing. I've done B2B, B2C. I've done it all. And you guys, I feel for you. I get it. I completely get it. And it's like, what am I good at directly? And then what do I want to be good at? You're here. You have amazing brains. You're already sharing stuff. Learning isn't hard. It's a choice. What is my best attribute? Do I want a new job or a new career? Do I want to coast out? Do I want to have something that makes enough money? Can I do this? What are parameters? What am I going to learn? What's my ideal lifestyle? How much money is going to make me happy? What do I hate about my jobs? And what do I love about what I do? That's a lot of questions to throw out there, but they're things to think about. So there's probably one or two that stuck out to you. If there is one or two that stuck out to you, write them down. Mull on them. Think about them. And then ask someone you know very, very well to answer those questions about you. Ask someone that you know so personally that they'll say anything to you, even if it hurts your feelings, and say, what am I good at? What do you think I should be doing? What do you see me light up when something happens? Sometimes we don't even realize we light up when somebody says something. Like they may say, you know, hey, did you see those blue shoes? Oh, I love shoes. That's a true story. And I career coached someone that loved shoes. We ended up getting him a shoe company because they didn't know they liked shoes. And it was a long story, but it was just that little tiny bit of a, oh, I love shoes. Ask those questions. And this is what entrepreneurs do. And this is what really good, strong, successful job seekers that I've seen that got jobs that they really like, is they take the time to really evaluate themselves deeply to the core and ask the hard questions. Okay? If you think about it, Gallup, we all know who Gallup is. They say that 85% of the people in the world don't like their jobs. They're unengaged at work. I don't know what the stats are. There's like 400 million people that make up stats. My favorite stat came out of a fortune cookie. It said 92.6% of all statistics are made up on the spot. That's my favorite stat. Came out of a fortune cookie. Brilliant marketing right there for that person. But that's what it is. But the stats are that if you're going to be doing this for any length of time, you're going to want to like it. And I know that there is, you have to make money. I've been there. You know, I scrape, save, side hustle, whatever I need to do when I'm headed for a goal. And maybe that's part of it. But that long range goal, take the time to evaluate that. The next thing that I find that successful entrepreneurs, business owners, great job seekers have done is they partner with and surround themselves with people that are either A, more successful, B, better at it, or C, have done it already. That's what this group is. I mean, I love the Brady Bunch approach because it's like I want you all to look at each other and like go, oh, you did that and you did that and thank you, because that's what makes it special is coming together and talking to each other and figuring out what worked for you. Right? When I first moved to Austin, after deciding how hot it was, well, I couldn't get a job. I couldn't find the right job. I was getting frustrated, so I accepted a job selling ads in a local phone book. Not the true Yellow Pages, the break-off phone book that you go out to the smaller communities around Austin. And it was the first time I ever drank sweet tea. That's a whole nother story. Still a little scared by that situation. But I didn't consider myself a salesperson at that time. I was just a marketing guy. I mean, I sold stuff. I wasn't a salesperson. And I remember coming in the office one day and I was just tired and hot. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, all I'm doing is buying gas and I'm not getting any sales. And I sat down and I kind of slumped in my desk and I'm like going over my list of who I had to visit because they give you all these sheets. And the salesperson came over and he's like, this big old guy with the buckle this big. He was awesome. I can't even do his accent, but it was awesome. And he goes, what's your problem? And I go, I don't know what my problem is. I go, I have no motivation. I can't do it. And he goes, yep, you got left footitis. I'm like, what's left footitis? And he goes, left footitis means you're afraid to take your left foot and put it out your car door. Because until you take that left foot and put it out in your car door, you're not getting out of the car. How many places did you pull up to today, not get out of the car? And I was just like, who is this dude trailing me? That's crazy. But that's what it is. And we have that same issue. I mean, my success now in my business depends a lot on my ability to pick up my phone and call somebody. People I know, people I don't know, people that might not know. And I have to fight that fear of rejection every time, right? Those butterflies, that fear. What am I going to do? I got this internal voice yelling at me over here and this little voice over here. And it's like, Mark, you talk in front of people. You chat with people. You pick up phones. What makes this different? And I think it all kind of goes back to is like, I'm not really in a comfortable space to do that. And I don't have a good phone-itis thing made up yet. So I will take suggestions. You can email them.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger. That's it. Yes, there it is. So it's just kind of getting used to that. And how many people have said in your world, when you picked up the phone to talk to people, how many have said, I can't or I won't help you with your job search? Right? How many do you think have or want to? Oh, a couple million, right? And we all have that same thing. Entrepreneurs have that same battle. Every successful business person, except for the highly authoritative, narcissistic, very accessible, because they're out there, right? Everybody else still has that fear in them. They still have that in them. What makes them different is, you know what? I'm just going to pick up the phone and talk to somebody. Or I'm just going to go meet somebody for coffee. Or I have this whole spreadsheet that I put my name on. I'm going to call somebody off that spreadsheet and literally sit down and talk to them. And you know what? They don't have to be in your field. Some of the best inspiration and advice I've gotten is people from fields that are 190 degrees away from me. And yes, I just made up that degree. But yes, it's because sometimes, you start talking about things, you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. Carly, I career coached a person with a PhD in a very obscure profession, loved getting it, hated being a professor, hated it, is now happily in a career she loves, mainly because she took the risk. So well done to you. That is my inspiration to you today. The people in this room, even if you're in the same industry, even if you're both in marketing, you're all in sales, you all make shoelaces, you're not competitors. You're sharing resources, you're sharing hope, you're sharing inspiration. So, contact each other, talk to each other. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit talking for a few minutes, just 2, because it's really hard for me not to talk once you get to know me. 2 minutes. The first minute, I want you just to think. Think about everyone you know, everyone you trust, for 1 minute. And in the second minute, I want you to write down 5 names of people you're going to call before Monday. No emailing, no texting, definitely no slacking, none of that stuff. I'm having issues with my Slack lately. Sorry, I apologize. I'm taking it out on you. But that's what I want you to do. So 1 minute, write down names. You have a list, a link. There may be a new name on your list today. But you're going to commit to yourself that by Monday, I'll have called these 5 minutes. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes of silence. And you can put down more than 5 if you want to. The longest 2 minutes in the history of the world. All right, so you have a list. Hopefully there's no one on your list that you are going to call that won't answer, and you know that in advance, because I used to do those on days when you had to make, when you're tracked by the number of calls you made. You're like, oh, I'll just put 10 people on here that won't answer, and then I could tick those off the list of my sales route. So good names, talk to people, rank them. Now think about, before you call them, is go back to that initial list. What am I good at? What am I really looking for? Right? What is there a person on that list that, hey, I just need inspiration today. I just need someone to say, Mark, you got this. Or I need someone, this person I know, they work in the industry I'm in. I tracked them down on LinkedIn. I looked at all their connections, and they know somebody I need to know. Which is perfectly legal, by the way. You can do that. And I want to see if they can give me an introduction. Or there was someone in that networking group last week when that guy quit talking, and we started talking about some similarities in what we do and some options. I just didn't get all the information. That's all you're going to do. But you're going to think about a little bit about what you're going to ask. I'm not asking you to make a sales pitch. I don't believe job searching is a sales job. I believe job searching is a search. It's an adventure. And sometimes the adventure is awesome, and sometimes it really sucks. So apologize for using that word if you don't like it, but it's true. But it's an adventure. And it's looking for those things you can learn as you go along the way. Because there's always ways to get help, right? And that's the one other thing that entrepreneurs do really well when they surround their people. They're not afraid to get help. The ones that are really, really good and grow great companies don't keep it all to themselves. They ask questions. Like, I have no idea how to design AI, right? I bet you in this group I could find somebody that does. I use it. I think it's fun, but I don't know how to make it. In the job search, you keep sending out resumes, you're not getting any interviews, no one's answering, it's crickets. It's easy. Either you're applying to the wrong jobs, or there's something really, really wrong with your resume. Get help. Don't get frustrated, get help. You're going to interview after interview after interview, and after every interview, you're getting this, it was a nice meeting today, we'll let you know. And you don't get a call back, there's probably something wrong in your interview. If it happens over and over and over and over again. I've been there. I've had horrible interviews. We all have some of the funniest interview stories ever. As interviewing someone, I spilled coffee on them. How about that? And they didn't get the job. I still feel guilty to this day. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone and get help. If you need to vent, get help. Call someone that says, hey, can I yell at you for 5 minutes? I'm really frustrated. Get it out of your system. Go for walks. Do all those things. Those are things that great job seekers and great entrepreneurs do, is find a way to shut down the voices in their head. And a lot of that is talking to other people, understanding they can do it, and move forward. Find a career coach. I mean, there's career coaches in this room. I really don't do career coaching anymore. But there's people all over Boulder that are awesome. What are you looking for? Somebody local, someone that's going to meet you face to face. Do they need experience in your vertical or not? Yes and no. I mean, it depends. It depends on what you're looking for. If you need inspiration or help on certain areas, do it. Call more than one, right? I have my favorites. I'm trying to be very good. I have my favorites, but call more than one. Get reviews. Talk to the people around you. These groups are a great thing to ask, because there are some really good ones out there. And make sure they align with you. Not every career coach is perfect. It's just like every, and I'm not going to relate them to therapists, but you got to have the right person for you, right? Make sure you're challenged. Career coaching should never be easy, right? It's like working out with a feather. It looks great on paper, but you don't get any real growth from it. All right. You're doing well. You're hanging in there. Proud of you. All right. Last, not really least, this is the big one. This is the biggest one of all. Successful entrepreneurial job seekers, they don't give up. And they do what it takes. You're going to have great days. You're going to have bad days. You're going to have days where I nailed it. Crickets. You're going to have days where really bad things happen and you don't want to get out of bed. You're not alone. Anybody know who Sheryl Sandberg is? The writer? Right? Great book, Lean In, if you haven't read it. So it's an older book. Still recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's a great book. Rags to riches. No one said she could do it. Sam Walton, we all know who this guy is, right? I think I buy half his stuff out of Sam's these days. Oprah Winfrey, same thing. Soon to be June. June, you're next. We're going to see you on the Rags to Riches. Rags to Riches. Don't give up. Don't give up. I mean, the first time you rode a bike, how'd that go? First time you got on roller skates, how was that? I still have scars from the old school skateboards before they were real skateboards, and they're more like death machines on my shoulders from going down hills I had no right to be on. It's never really easy in the beginning, but that's okay. Look at where you're all at. Every single one of you was paid to do something because you were worth it. You might have been more worth it, but you were so valued, they gave you money to do it. Even as an intern, even as a starter, even volunteering, you were paid by the love and support for the people around you. I love the idea of volunteering, Steve. That's awesome. I think that gets your head clear, gets you out, you do something. Don't do it to network, just do it to be. These things help. If it's not working, you're gonna have to try something new. If you get stuck, try something new. Change your routine. Get up earlier, get up later. Drink tea instead of coffee. You know, run the opposite way around the track. It could be fun if everybody's running the other way too. That could be interesting. Dress for success. This is one of the favorite. When I first decided I was done in the corporate world and I started doing freelance consulting, I was really excited that I could basically get up in the morning, work in my boxer shorts and a t-shirt. That was awesome. And it was Austin, so half the other people were too. But you know, it was awesome. I loved it. What I didn't like was I never had the right mindset when I did that. I didn't have the right, I wasn't going to work. I wasn't prepared mentally, physically, emotionally to get into it. Yes, I dressed up for you today because you're worth it, A, and B, it puts me in the right mindset. I'm even wearing shoes, mind you, which I debated about for a while, I'll be honest, but I put shoes on. And it's just that setting your mindset to do it. And if you kind of do that with your job search, it also gives you the ability to turn, just to be cognizant of who you're talking to. So before you make those calls, dress up like it's your most important business meeting or a call with your best friend. So if pajamas and socks and a blanket make you feel better, go that route. If you're better in a dress, a tie, a suit, a fedora, go that route. It's a phone. They're not going to see you. Bonus points if you do it over Zoom, though. You send me if you do it over Zoom, and I'll find some prize for you. I'll send you something from Missouri, maybe some Missourians. Okay, find other job search groups around the country for knowledge and inspiration. I love our Utah guests. Awesome. I'm in Missouri. It's a small world now. That's the best thing about Zoom. The world gets really tiny. It's easy to escape from, but it got tiny. We can learn a lot. I only have one client in Missouri. The rest of my clients are all over the country. And the client I have in Missouri isn't even in Springfield, it's in Kansas City, 3.5 hours away. And so it's utilize the power of being able to do this and learn things. Look stuff up. I love that. Final words of wisdom. When we get down here, invest in skill development. If you want to learn something, learn it. It's easy to learn now. It's cheap to learn now. There's a million different places you can learn. YouTube, Udemy, audit a class, hang out with a friend, ask someone to teach you something. Say, if I bring you bagels every Monday, will you teach me everything you know about Python? They'll probably want more than one bagel, but you never know, right? Learn, invest in yourself, and keep learning, and keep being curious, and keep looking around you. Like, so When Carly lit up about saying, I'm going to do something new, what made her so exciting? Right? When Matt said, hey, I want to change who I'm marketing to. I want to like switch it up. You can see it's like, I'm really bored with this. I want to try something new. And you can still take old skills and bring them to a new role, because every new role is different. No role is ever the same when you move places, even in companies. So just keep that out there and take smart risks. I've taken a lot of non-smart risks. I learned by experience, I found out. So try to take smart risks. Talk to people. Again, vet people, talk to other people around you, and maybe even pursue some opportunities that you may have poo-pooed in the past. There are some things that I used to think I was too good to do. Like I've been in this, I don't need to do that. And then I ended up doing them and like, okay, I need to eat this week. I'm going to do this. And it turned out one of these, some of the best things I did, just because it brought something new to who I was. And then just continue to evolve and adapt and watch the world. You can do this. And I keep saying that. You're here right now. And I remember every time I heard that when I was younger, I'm like, thank you for the inspiration. No, you're here right now. There's other people that knew this was happening today. There's other people that today had no clue who I was and said, I don't want to listen to some guy I don't know. Or just said, you know what, I have better things to do. Maybe they're still sleeping. I don't know. But they're not here. You're here. That's commitment. That's a winning mark on your board. Small steps lead to big, huge, huge things. So my dad grew up on a farm in Iowa in the late 30s and 40s. And he was a teacher for over 50 years. He actually went to UNC to get his master's degree in teaching, which is one of the reasons I decided I wanted to go to Colorado. He passed away at 92 a few years ago from COVID, okay? And I remember looking, we were going through his stuff. I found this like stack of my business cards from all the different things I had done. It was a stack. He kept them. And I don't know if he was like, it was a game. I don't know. He was kind of a comedian himself. And I was kind of looking through them. I never found a business card for him. Not one single business card. I found a name tag. Dwayne Popenhagen, teacher. That's all I found. Found a few things, but that's it. But I remember him studying, talking to people, getting better, getting involved, helping the people around him. I remember conversations with him with other teachers that wanted to quit teaching. I remember him having conversations about wanting to quit teaching. I remember him building up people. I remember one day I said, why don't you quit? He goes, and he pulled out this little file in his thing, because, you know, is awesome. And he pulled it out and there was like letters from students, because I've taught thousands. These 10 wrote me letters, and that's why I kept teaching. It doesn't have to be teaching. It can be developing an app. It can be developing a new product. It can be reaching people with information they need to know to make their life better. It can be in finances. It can be in banking. It can be in product development. It can be whenever you want it to be. But you just got to focus in and move. And right now you're dealing with the worst part of it, and that's the nuts and bolts of getting to that spot. And so what do entrepreneurs really do that no one else does and makes them successful? They keep learning, they keep listening, they keep growing, and they keep moving. So I love when I jump on these every once in a while, and there's new people, and the old people are gone. That's a great feeling. That's a good feeling, because you know they did it. And so you will eventually find the right job. You will eventually get to where you want to be. Just gotta believe in yourself. So favorite books of mine, and I usually don't do this, but I used to be a really big reader as a kid, and then HBO and cable started, I'm that old. And well, I quit reading books. But I started doing it again, because it's smart. And so I'm going to put these in the thing. But here's a couple of my favorite books that I really, really like. Obviously, Sheryl Sandberg, Lean In. If you haven't read it, read it. I don't care if you're male or female, read the book. Shad Helmstetter. It's from like the 1970s. It's What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's about head trash. It's like this old 70s book, and he still wears the book, the copy I have, he's like still in the turtleneck. It's awesome. It's beautiful, but it's still very poignant and very good stuff, especially if you deal with that. If you don't deal with that, you rock. Teach me how not to deal with the head stuff. Atomic Habits, working those little habits out. Another great book, piece by piece. And then probably the best out of all of them, Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss. If you haven't read that one, go out and buy it and put it on your desk, because you will make it happen. Yes, Mark. See your hand.
Yeah, I want to make a quick comment because I got to get back on the stage in 15 minutes here for my presentation. You made a really important point about networking. We have a real life example. Last week in LPN, Lee Hong, a new attendee, he found the perfect job for him on the company's website. And he and I talked, and he knew one person at the company. He worked with them at a different company 20 years ago. He's like, I hardly even know that guy. I said, reach out to him, let him know, because that's a company would be a perfect fit for you. He reached out to the guy, and the guy had such positive opinion of Lee Hong. He goes, absolutely, I'll help. He goes, I'm going to send your resume to the VP of HR because it's a vice president job. He goes, I know the hiring manager. Give me some bullet points. Let's talk for 10 minutes, and then I'm gonna send you in. And he got an interview literally 3 hours later scheduled, which is for this Friday. This works, right? It didn't matter that was 20 years ago. That contact had this huge positive opinion of Lee Hong. He said he only worked with him on a project team for 8 weeks 20 years ago, right? And so think of that power of that weak connection. But I will say, based on my experience, if you make over $100,000 and or you're over 40 years old, over half your time should be spent networking, right? To find opportunities, especially opportunities that aren't posted, because 80% of jobs right now are not posted, especially the higher up you go. And but networking is important. The other thing is I have 153 contacts in my cell phone that I'm not connected to on LinkedIn. Some of those are presidents of companies or private equity people. They don't want me to be connected to them because that'll create, a lot of trash for them related to people reaching out to them. But we all have people we have outside of our LinkedIn network. And my point there being, just don't look at someone's LinkedIn network and think that's all they have. But reach out, have meetings with people. Iron sharpens iron, you're going to find help. But networking is a key. And everyone on this call should be talking to everyone else, including me. So I got to run. I'm glad I was able to sit in here, and everyone have a wonderful day and take care now.
Okay, and I want to stop babbling as well. I'm going to put the book titles and stuff. My LinkedIn's in there. Connect with me if you want to. If you have questions, I'll be here. Don, I know I didn't mean to run this long. I apologize, and please forgive me. I have 15 minutes before I have to go. I'm willing to stay and chat, answer questions. Sounds like your next meeting, you have someone that's all they're going to do is ask questions. If it were me, I'd start writing my questions today. So when that comes around, you're ready.
Yeah, we'll take some questions here, but before we do that, I'll stop the recording. But before I stop the recording, Mark, thank you so much. I'm glad we recorded this because it seemed like everything you said rang true and helpful. So I really appreciate, and your remarks kind of epitomized BoulderNet, because what we try to do is provide useful information, but also support. And I think you provided thoughts that will help people get through the job search process. So I'm going to stop the recording and we'll see if anyone has any questions.